Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Tito's is known for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Visit Blinds.com now for up to 50% off site-wide, plus a professional measure at no cost. Rules and restrictions apply.
Unfiltered discussions, unexpected guests. No topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hello, welcome. We have a fantabulous lineup for you tonight. Is that a real word? No. There, we've already taught you something, and here's what else you'll learn on the show tonight. You'll find out why leading financial institutions, we're talking banks of major countries, are worried about a looming AI bubble. Seems like to get your company funded these days, you just have to say it's an AI company. Like, I got an AI toothbrush. Boom, $1 billion. I mean, things aren't that bad, but they're not far off. So you might want to rethink investing in far-fetched AI ideas. So stories like that and more from the tech sector in 10 minutes time. Then after that, Kim Kardashian just dropped her, pubic hair underwear line, her Merkin line, and they're already selling out. Look, no press is bad press, and we're talking about it, so you'll learn why this just might be a genius business idea later in the hour. That is some of what we'll cover on tonight's show. There will be more. You will learn more. We better jump in right now with a very special guest.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
And in togetherness tradition and the holiday spirit news, we are joined by foreign correspondent Tony Five, pulled over on the side of the road in his automobile. That's the British for car. Tony, welcome to the show.
David, I am foreign, I am corresponding, and yes, David, I am in an automobile on the side of the road, as usually I am. How are you, dear boy?
I am good, but we are also joined by a very special guest. 2 of them, actually. One is my cat, who has decided he's not going to leave the room with me. And then my girlfriend popped into the room, and I said, I got a spare mic at the commercial. So here she is, Miranda, often talked about, not unlike, what's the wife from Cheers? Vera. Yeah, thank you. Hello, Miranda.
Hi.
You are like the guy from Home Improvement. I can't remember what he's at, not Al. Wilson,
yeah.
You're Wilson. Like, we know you, we love you, we never see you, but we believe you're there. Like every one of David's girlfriends.
And I thought we would talk about how Tony prepares all year round. I think a lot of people prepare for the holidays all year round, but Tony's holiday is Thanksgiving here where I live in New York, which they do not celebrate in the UK at all.
No, because we've got nothing to be thankful for in the UK. And many years ago, David and Miranda, you kindly invited me to your Thanksgiving. I don't know whether you did it like as a joke or you should come. And I was like, you know what? I've never been. I've never celebrated Thanksgiving. Yeah, why not? That'll be cool. And I came, and you have, let's call it an eclectic group of friends. Should we call it that?
I would say yes.
I mean, they're mostly my mutant friends who come for Thanksgiving, not Miranda's normal friends.
My friends are, most of my friends are American. I'm American, but they go to their families.
So we get like the odd bods, the offshoots, basically the lowest hanging fruit.
The island of misfit toys is what I would call them, but we love them and they're our favorite.
We've got a stripper clown. We've got a few eccentric people who come. We've got my friend who's like a DJ who shaves his hair kind of like Mr. T. It's an odd bunch. And of course you, Tony, who really takes the cake there.
Thank you very much. I mean, the DJ who shaves his head, David can say anything, and this guy will lose his mind laughing. It's absolutely, and you can just watch it. He's like David's best listener or audience member he could envisage. David can say anything. I'm going to the toilet. This guy will wheeze for an hour. He will lose his mind. Yeah, he does that. We've got somebody who is a clown. Now, David says it very off the cuff. Oh, yeah, my friend's a clown. How that is an employable job in this day and age and can live in like one of the most expensive cities in the world, it blows my mind.
We're having 2 clowns this year, actually.
One is a balloon-themed clown and one is a sort of burlesque-themed clown. There's different themes. They specialize, Tony. That's how they make the big bucks. And by big bucks, I mean, they have roommates and,
I have never met a clown, and yours is the only place in the world where I can have dinner with 2 clowns.
Tony, why do you love coming so much? Is it like sort of like a chosen family vibe? I know you have a small family there in the UK.
In all seriousness, it's actually, I never grew up in a big family, and I would look longingly at people that had these wonderful big celebrations and barbecues together and never have that. And when you invited me, I just really felt included, and I felt really happy to be there and sat there. And I'm not, even though like I appear to be quite jovial, I really just hate people. So sitting, in and amongst people and amongst friends and just eating and laughing and, I still feel uncomfortable at times, but I'm getting more comfortable. Probably in about a decade, I'll be really, really comfortable. But at the moment, yeah, I just enjoy, I've met the same people a few times. And it's great. And I think for a lot of people who are listening who kind of have families or people who don't have families, it's kind of nice. No matter what age you are, no matter what your family circumstances, there is a community there out for you, I guess.
Wow, you just gave us like a narrative, a purpose, a message, something uplifting, something people can identify with. Tony, it's almost like you're a professional broadcaster.
No, I had a Dr. Pepper earlier. It always does that to me.
Makes me gassy. Miranda, my lovely girlfriend, what do you like about Thanksgiving other than yelling at me for inviting too many people?
Well, what do I like about Thanksgiving? I like to bake stuffing. So stuffing is my favorite part of Thanksgiving. It's the tastiest food. Nobody else can make it. I like to make it.
Stop there, Miranda. So every year I ask David, can I bring stuffing mix? Can I bring stuffing? David absolutely shoots me down, tells me off. No, you can't do that. That's Miranda's thing. Now you've admitted it on air. I thought it was David just being a bit controlling. But now you've said that, I agree. Okay, fine.
David is very controlling about the Thanksgiving menu also. But he won't let anybody else cook for Thanksgiving. He'll allow one other friend.
One of the clowns is allowed to bring dishes.
And it's because she, with sheer force of will, she will not allow him to not let her bring a dish.
Yeah. I like to cook for everyone. Hey, we cook. It's nice. I just don't do turkey because turkey's gross. Not a fan.
But I think one year we've got to have a traditional turkey dinner and pilgrims and stuff. But I mean, this last couple of years it's been duck. But this year it's going to be the beef, baby.
I'm going to do either a tenderloin or a prime rib or maybe just cheap cuts of meat. I don't know. I will see how much it costs because beef for 12 people is a lot. It might get expensive.
It's a lot. Why can't we just buy a cow and sacrifice it on Fifth Avenue?
Okay, we'll bring a live cow to my New York apartment, and that'll be what we do.
Look, I'm happy with cold cuts. You could just go to the deli and buy slices of meat, and I'd be happy with that.
Did you know that Monday was actually Canadian Thanksgiving? Of course, our show airs in many stations in Canada, so this is actually kind of on topic in a way, even though to Miranda it seems off topic.
We are professional broadcasters, my friend. I mean, what's Canada thankful for?
Oh, man. Maple syrup?
But is it the same Thanksgiving as American, with the people that wear the hat? What is it? The boat that comes in and they throw tea off the boat? Isn't that what it is?
No. I think it's just more about a harvest and much more casual, less sort of historically loaded than the American one. Yeah. But it's the same idea, end of year, end of harvest, what you're thankful for. Get all your crops, get all your birds, eat them up with the family before it gets cold.
Oh, okay. I thought it had something to do with people that wear long dresses and stuff like that. But we never do that thing where you're meant to go around the table and say, I am thankful for, and you're meant to say something. I see it on the movies. Miranda, if you remember, we did that one year and one of David's brothers pulled out a picture of him naked.
Yeah, that conversation is safe for broadcasting. There has been known to be nudity.
And then one year you set your cat on fire.
that was an accident and let's not do that again. Miranda, what are you thankful for?
Well, I'm thankful that Tony comes to visit. I'm thankful for all of our friends who come out of town to visit. I'm thankful for our cat. I'm thankful for David. And I'm thankful for the invention of stuffing.
And I'm thankful you graced the show with your presence, my love. I often talk about you, and some of the listeners think I have a made-up girlfriend. And yes, Miranda is an AI chat model and not a real person. But Miranda, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tony, what a pleasure it was having you. We'll see you in November and also tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's closer, but November's not far.
After the break, stories from the tech sector, including why several financial institutions are worried we're in a looming AI bubble. Might want to rethink those investments. This could be worse than the .com crash. Details on the other side of the break.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
In the 70s, 4 young women were found dead. For nearly 50 years, their cases went cold. I'm Nancy Hixt, a senior crime reporter for Global News. In the season finale of Crime Beat, I share how investigators uncovered shocking evidence of a serial killer and hear exclusive interviews with the killer's family. Listen to the full season of Crime Beat early and ad-free on Amazon Music by asking Alexa to play the podcast Crime Beat.
The last show with David Cooper. Procrastinate your life away with us.
They've got an AI toothbrush for sale. We better invest $10 billion in this company. I kid, of course, but the question is, are we in an AI investment bubble? It seems these days every company, all they have to do is say the words artificial intelligence and boom, their stock goes up. I'm here with Carmi Levy. It is time for technology time. And Carmi, would you like to invest in my AI toothbrush company?
Sure. Does it have any revenue? No. Oh, of course. I'll throw even more money at it.
No, we burn $10 million a year. It's fine. We're doing great. We sold one toothbrush.
And you have great foosball tables, I hear, in your very Silicon Valley offices. So I'm down.
I used to work in that world with nap rooms and snack shelves. And I think a lot of these companies are on austerity in terms of like perks like that. But
I would hope so.
There was a time. But it looks like major financial institutions, we're not talking like, the Bank of some small town. We're talking like the IMF, the Bank of England, are saying maybe think twice before investing in AI companies because we might be in another .com boom and bust, but for AI. Do you think there's truth to this?
I think there is, and I've been worried about this for a long time because a lot of the major AI plays, they get a lot of attention, they generate a lot of activity, market activity, but they still have, in many cases, no revenue or not enough revenue to justify their valuations, and the numbers simply don't add up. I'm not an economist, but you listen to folks who are, and they're saying that a lot of the conditions that would lead us toward a market correction, they're in place, they're there, and as time goes on, we are moving closer to that cliff face. And it almost feels like, I remember what it was like in the late 90s when, hysteria over the web was also kind of dominating Silicon Valley. And you had all these web plays that similarly, no business plan, no anything, talked a lot about eyeballs and clicks and traffic. But when it came to actually, sharing their business plans or, sort of showing what their revenue curves were, there was nothing to be seen. And of course, we all know how that ended up in the .com crash. And, it almost feels eerily similar. And it doesn't mean that we're on the verge of it, but it does mean that we are headed toward it.
I remember pets.com. I was just a kid, like this company that like for some reason in the early 2000s when we didn't have a culture of just clicking and buying like we do now on Amazon. They were worth tons of money. They bought a Super Bowl commercial. And then a year or two later, people were like, actually, we can just go to the pet store. Pets.com doesn't really have any value add. I feel like a company like that, like Chewy, nowadays might be worth something, but there was this bubble and this company was like the classic example. A lot of these AI companies are just a thin layer on top of OpenAI's technology, on top of ChatGPT. They don't even have the AI technology in-house. They just do something fancy with it, add some sort of product like an assistant or something like that on top of ChatGPT and boom, they're worth millions. And it is kind of a worry.
It is, because it's not innovation. It's masquerading as innovation. And if you're an investor and you're trying to figure out, well, which horse should I be backing here? Which is the one that's ultimately going to win the race? It's not going to be the one that's sort of generating hype. It's going to be the one that's creating products and services that people can actually use and benefit from. And it was as true during the .com run-up as it is now during the AI run-up. And unfortunately, we don't seem to have learned those lessons from that earlier crash. And now, no less than the International Monetary Fund and the Bank of England are saying we really should be careful. We should, as they say, buckle up. The sky isn't falling yet, but if we don't change our ways and if we don't sort of get back to those basics, those economic fundamentals, we certainly run the risk of there being some kind of correction to bring things back down to earth. And it's going to hurt a lot of people along the way. And, I find it interesting how every product now, it almost doesn't matter what product it is, but it has to have an AI angle and AI aspect. And even if it isn't truly, AI by that very definition of the term, the marketing wizards who are trying to hawk this thing are sort of finding any way to make it relevant in the age of AI. And that's also a dangerous place, because it means that investment decisions will get driven by hype, not by reality, not by the fundamentals. And that's problematic on a whole bunch of levels. And it means a lot of people might find themselves holding the mag, might find themselves out of a lot of money if they make the wrong decision.
If OpenAI, ChatGPT's creator, falls, this whole market is a castle built on sand.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying products that are on top of ChatGPT, of which there are many that use the underlying technology. If that falls, the market is going to lose confidence in AI products, and Google's Gemini. I mean, all these things are going to crash. It's going to be a mess. There might be survivors, just like there was in the .com boom. But I myself am not investing in any AI companies, and maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm not going where the gold is. Maybe I'm not going to be a part of this boom, but I'm being a little more conservative. I'm thinking there might be a correction. I love that language, by the way. Like, when things are good, it's a boom. When things are bad, it's a correction.
Nice euphemism. It still means a lot of people are going to lose their shirt. And I think you're absolutely right. OpenAI is to the AI generation as Google was to the web generation. And Google, of course, initially as well, it was a Stanford University graduate project, and it kind of evolved into this market-leading technology, but they didn't monetize it originally. And so it became really popular and generated a lot of buzz, but it still wasn't a viable business initially. And then over time, they figured out how to build an advertising business on top of it, and the rest is history. OpenAI still hasn't reached that point yet. It's still not generating enough revenue to cover its huge infrastructure costs. It costs a lot of money to run all of that, all those data centers, and to power them. And that's something that OpenAI still hasn't sort of gotten into the black on. And if it doesn't figure it out, you're absolutely right. It is the very center point of the AI economy. It's because of OpenAI that any of us is having any of these conversations now. And it's because of OpenAI that companies like Microsoft and Amazon and Google have literally pivoted themselves toward AI and dropped everything else. And so if OpenAI can't figure it out, as Google did a generation ago, then it throws into question the very sustainability of the AI economy. So definitely watching the company closely, and also watching all the other sort of companies that are spinning off of OpenAI's orbit to see if they can survive.
I don't think OpenAI is going to fall. I'm not saying a crash is imminent. I just worry if that pillar falls, this whole market is done for.
Next few months will be interesting. They just had their developer conference and introduced some really compelling visions of how AI should work, like apps within AI, apps built into ChatGPT, which could upend the way the fundamental internet works and the way it's financed. So, the next few months are going to be pivotal to sort of see will OpenAI's business model take root, and will they allow this company to become kind of an economic juggernaut in the way that Google did 30 years ago?
I am going to go off script here. I watched a talk last night that was it really conveyed one of the reasons why you should be worried about AI kind of ruining internet and ruining publishing and ruining academia and really ruining everything. And it kind of relates to the time traveler's paradox. And this one's simple. I have a time machine, but I go back in time and tell my early self how to build the time machine, which causes me to build it. Where did the plans come from? I'm in the future, and I go back and I have the time machine because I went back in time and gave my early self plans for it, plans for how to build it. Okay. Yeah. Where did it come from? It's a paradox, you know?
Yeah. Chicken or egg.
And I go back in time and give myself some object that I need to get the object in the future. ChatGPT can hallucinate, okay? It can make up sources. All it takes is one reputable or semi-reputable scientific source to use a hallucinated reference and then publish based on that. And then what they published is now a fact, and ChatGPT can train on it, okay? And then use it as a source. But where did the original thing come from? Do you see what I'm talking about here? There's a paradox of like learning where ChatGPT hallucinates. I use it as a source for my paper. ChatGPT then trains on my paper and uses my paper as a reputable source. Where did the fact come from? And this little thing is happening in academia. There are some known instances of it. I'm worried about this tech destroying humanity, and I know I went off script here, but I'm like a little more careful about using it now.
Well, it is going to get worse as future iterations of AI tools increasingly train on AI-generated content, much of which contains hallucinations. We're only going to see kind of a downward degradation in that precision and more hallucinations and confabulations, as well as sort of the AI slop becomes dominant in the online space. Kind of a frightening place to be. I think I might just go hide in a cave.
It certainly is. If you use Windows 10 on your computer, you should really be worried about this past Tuesday. Like, something has happened, and we'll tell you all about it with Carmi Levy in just a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. We're broadcasting relationship truths and scientific discoveries with a comedian's touch. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Windows 9 was my favorite operating system that never existed. I'm here with Carmi Levy. It's time for technology time. Carmi, do you know why there was never a Windows 9?
Because 8 sucked? I don't know. I think the goal was to make Windows 10 the definitive final version of Windows, that they would never have to use another number. It would just automatically update itself. And then, of course, along came Windows 11. So what do I know?
When applications were searching for what version of Windows was running to figure out how they should implement whatever, they would often just search for the number 9 at the beginning, because 95 and 98 were compatible. And so
that's right.
Legacy applications that just looked at the first digit of the version to see if they worked and how to work and how to. So basically, if they made the version number 9, all these old apps that Windows is all about compatibility and supporting legacy apps, they would break. And so it was one part marketing, but one part like bad technical implication.
And now we know. Thank you. I never knew. Now I know.
Isn't that a weird one? But Windows 10 came out. It was a good OS, I guess. If you use it right now, you no longer get security updates, which means it's going to be a haven for hackers. And a lot of people are still on Windows 10.
Yeah, and that's a problem, right? Because as long as the app is working and it will boot up, it'll run your apps, it'll do everything that it's always done. But because it's not getting those security updates in the background, those fixes, those patches, it's as time goes on, as we move to the right, it becomes increasingly vulnerable to new threats that emerge in the wild. And then, of course, cyber criminals being cyber criminals, they will exploit those weaknesses. And eventually, the operating system becomes kind of like a Swiss cheese of cybersecurity. It's almost like feeding time at the zoo for cyber criminals, and they will increasingly target users who use Windows 10. We saw the same thing when Windows XP hung on for years longer than it should have, and a lot of people were still using it even after Microsoft stopped updating the security features. And of course, Windows XP machines became vectors for attacks. The same thing is going to play out with Windows 10. If the millions of people, the 40+% of people who use Windows machines use Windows 10, if they don't do anything starting now, they will become increasingly vulnerable over time.
Is there anything I can do about it if I'm still a Windows 10 user?
There are 3 things that you can. So the company has agreed to implement something called Extended Security Updates. It's a program, you spend $30 for it, and they will then provide security updates to Windows 10 users temporarily for up to a year, October 13th, 2026. So Microsoft says this is not a permanent solution. It's just designed to give you enough time to either buy a new machine to replace your old machine or upgrade your existing machine to Windows 11. The reason so many people are still using Windows 10 is because when it was introduced, it has some very hefty hardware requirements. And so the reason so many people are still holding on to Windows 10, which is 10 years old, is because when Windows 11 was released in 2021, it had some very hefty hardware requirements, likely because of all the security features that it included. So a lot of people on Windows 10 just didn't want to upgrade to Windows 11 because it was difficult or their machines weren't compatible, couldn't handle the new operating system. So now you have a lot of Windows 10 users who they have nowhere to go. They can't upgrade to Windows 11 and they're just holding on to Windows 10 as long as they can. Microsoft is essentially saying the clock is running out. So you can spend $30 for extended security updates and that buys you another year of security updates, or you can use Windows Backup to sync your settings to the cloud using OneDrive, and that will automatically extend security updates on Windows 10. And the third option, if you collect Microsoft rewards, for 1,000 Microsoft rewards points, you redeem them, and that gets you another year of security updates. So you have to do something if you're still going to be using Windows 10, but by this time next year, you shouldn't be using it all. You should be either on Windows 11 or whatever is current then, and Windows 10 should be shut off if you want to stay safe.
Microsoft reward points? I don't even want to know.
Yeah, me neither. I saw that and I'm like, nah, not happening.
I didn't even know. What is it, like a credit card? Visa points? This is so stupid.
Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of like Air Miles or Aeroplan or something.
Yeah,
you
but
collect them.
What am I buying from Microsoft so often that I'm getting points? Please, that's not a question I want you to answer. Okay, let's go to this story here. If you train AI to be good at social media, like train it how to post to get engagement, to get likes, which I know a lot of corporations, both evil and not evil, and perhaps even state actors trying to influence the public and how they vote and what they do, they have a vested interest at getting AI to be good on social media. But those models, as they get better, do not become quote unquote good people. They start getting bad values. Great. Fantastic.
They get nasty. So Stanford University sort of dug into it and they said, okay, how when you unleash AI into specific environments, including social media, how do they behave? And they found that when you reward them for success, so if you use AI to boost likes or boost engagement or other metrics of social media, that they'll increasingly behave unethically. They'll lie. They'll spread hateful messages. They'll spread misinformation. They call it competition-induced misaligned behaviors. How's that for a euphemism? And they looked at two models specifically, Alibaba's Cloud, which is fairly prevalent in China, and Meta's Llama, which underpins pretty much underpins the Meta AI app and all of the chatbots across all of Meta's apps like Facebook and Instagram and Threads. So the problem here is that this is very widespread. Billions of people are using this technology, and that when it's unleashed in social media, it increases the potential for it to go off the rails, and the guardrails, the protections that would stop these models from behaving in this way, well, according to the research, they apparently don't work.
Okay, great. AI turns into sociopaths when it becomes good at social
pretty
media.
Much. Something to keep in mind. And it'd be interesting to see if they apply this research to other models. So, for example, from OpenAI or Google or Anthropic, like other sort of mainstream models. They have not done this yet, but I would suspect this is common to all platforms, that they all behave in this way, because as the research piles up, we're seeing kind of that trend line. Left to their own devices, they will turn to the dark side, not the bright one.
All right, Carmi, our last story. I covered it yesterday with Tony 5, but I do want a serious take with you. It turns out that the woman you're having an affair on your wife with, Carmi, will soon be able to text you back sexy messages. I am joking, Carmi's not having an affair, but the CEO of ChatGPT, OpenAI, I guess is the name of the company, has said that they're going to relax the not safe for work filters on the platform, that it will allow users to engage with it in an erotic manner. Simultaneously, somehow, because the guardrails they feel are good enough, the safety's good enough that they can trust their model to get sexy with you. Whether that's generating raunchy photos or just generating raunchy text, that remains to be seen. This is just at some point in the future. But I think a lot of people are excited because you know what? If you're an adult, like if you're over 18 or 21 or whatever the age is you got to be to engage in weird stuff, it doesn't really offend me. It's kind of weird, kind of gross. Like if my girlfriend was doing it, I'd be like, why are you doing this? It's strange. but it doesn't bother me. And I think it's maybe a good thing as long as it's like not violent and not, there's certain guardrails in place. Adults aren't hurting anybody.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like OpenAI has always been, no erotica on our platforms, and for months, Sam Altman has kind of poked at Elon Musk, who of course is the CEO of xAI. They're responsible for the Grok platform, and Grok has a decidedly hands-off policy when it comes to erotica. Anything goes, right? So there are no guardrails, there are no limitations or constraints. And so now, in a blog post, Altman has said, no, he calls it their treat adult users like adults principle, and they will allow things like erotica for verified adults. And so they'll be rolling out age gating in December. So verifying that you are who you say you are, using AI tools to scan your activities on the platform and verify that you are, in fact, as old as you say you are, and that you're not trying to be an adult, not a kid pretending. And that once that's the case, they verify that you are who you are, you'll be able to, see and or generate content that would qualify as erotica. And so I guess it was inevitable. I guess the industry would eventually have to head in that direction. Once the tools to protect younger people were in place, that's about to happen.
All right, when it launches, I guess I'm going to quit my job. You can find me in my bedroom on my laptop. There's not going to be a reason to leave your house anymore. Everything gets delivered to your door. All your vices, your pleasures, your weird things, everything will be at your fingertips. What a great world we live in.
Not my world.
Thank you, Carmi Levy. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks so much, David.
Coming up next, I know you're excited about Kim Kardashian's fake pubic hair underwear line. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this might be a case of great business.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Please be advised that the following program contains audio content that may be graphic and potentially triggering for some listeners. This content may include descriptions or sounds that some may find disturbing. Listener discretion is strongly advised. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Interested in a wig? Well, Kim Kardashian's got a new line of wigs for women only that I'm excited to talk about. Here with Caitlin Green, a media personality who co-hosts the Jan Arden podcast. I just introduced this topic so innocently, Caitlin. Welcome to the show.
I'm really happy that you have led us down the garden path in this way.
Yes.
Do you want to do the reveal or do you want me to do the reveal?
It's so stupid. Should I do like a content? I guess I don't need a content warning. It's just a piece of clothing. It's just edgy is all.
It's just a good old-fashioned merkin.
Merkin, which is a fake pubic area wig. It's pubic wig. I mean, it is what it is, Kim Kardashian has launched a line of merkins. They're called the faux hair micro string thong. They come in a variety of sizes and colors. Mm-hmm. Exciting stuff. I imagine you ordered 20 of them.
These things are the stuff of nightmares. These merkins could haunt a house. And I think it's really timely that she is releasing them in the Halloween season. It's spooky season and people are apparently racing to buy her string merkins. So I don't know. I mean, Skims has become a brand that's a little bit stunty. Like it started out being just undergarments, just shapewear. And then earlier this year, they released a bra that had visible nipples. Like, so when you put the bra on, if you wore a t-shirt, it would look like your nipples were erect. And then they did one that was faux, like a fake nipple piercing, like the barbell style nipple piercing. So she created one of those. So if you put that bra on and you wore a tight shirt, it would create the illusion that you had a barbell nipple piercing.
Wait, people are usually trying to conceal these piercings.
They are, but I think that it's stolen valor, in my opinion. This is all really wrong, because if you have sat through a nipple piercing in your life, you know that someone else shouldn't be able to just go out there and fake it. And if you've spent a long time growing a full 70s bush, you don't want someone to be able to just put on a Skims thong and be able to pull this off. So I don't know.
At the risk of you never wanting to work with me again, are you saying that from personal experience, or are you going to plead the fifth on that one?
For the nipple piercing, yes. For the other one, no.
But still, we all know what it would be like to invest our time, energy, and money in landscaping our various parts.
Precisely. And this is also one of those things where beauty standards are something that I find so funny, because years ago, every single person raced to remove every last strand of hair from the neck down. And people went out and got laser. They made permanent hair decisions. And now the Kardashians have just like sauntered into the room and decided that the bush is back. So,
but not really. It's because it's fake.
But I think that they're co-opting a moment that's already kind of happening. Like, I do think times have changed, and that there has been, at least in popular culture that I've seen, a resurgence around the popularity of pubic hair, quite honestly. It got a little bit of a special shout out on the recent season of Real Housewives of New York. I've seen like people talking about this on TikTok and on Instagram. So yeah, I think she's trying to capitalize on a moment that was already kind of like percolating. And I don't know. Who's wearing this and why? Is it so that somebody could see it? Like, I don't understand. I really don't get the use of this.
I mean, originally they were used like 500 years ago because of like, I don't know, crabs and diseases and stuff. So people would remove it, but because it was considered desirable, they'd then wear a merkin to pretend that they didn't remove it. Is my understanding of the history correct here?
Precisely. So prostitutes used to have to shave off their pubic hair for STD related reasons. And so in order to create the illusion of health, they then had to create a fake pubic wig so that their customers wouldn't see a shaved down there and go, ooh, this gal's kind of a mess. So they invented merkins.
Ah, there it is. I was mostly right. So it is an odd thing, but yeah, the whole weird pubic hair fixation of the 90s, like for women, awful. I like, why does anyone care? But that's just my hot take.
It's just changed so much, and it always will change. It's just part of like, and again, the Kardashians have been part of this conversation for a long time because they have drastically altered their bodies, and their bodies are commented on, and their bodies are incredibly profitable for them. So, from the Kylie Jenner lip kits, because she had the lip injections, to the, exaggerated hourglass figures. Like, this is just one more chapter of that, but I think because these things look so funny and they kind of look so ugly and ridiculous when they're just lying on a table in like a promo shot, people are all over this, and they're selling out. Like, they are absolutely selling out. People are buying.
You cannot get one. I just went on the website for research reasons. First of all, they're only $32, which you'd think they'd be more. That's not crazy. That's not $500 for some stupid thing you never need. It's $32 for some stupid thing you'd never need. Mm-hmm. And they are completely sold out. Every color, every size, from XX small to 4XL, in about 15 different colors. Mm-hmm. Everything's gone.
Yeah, they're gone. And maybe people are buying them for Halloween costumes. I certainly hope so. But there's got to be some other reasons.
I think $32 for most people is enough money to justify an LOL purchase.
Yeah.
Like, if I see something for $32 on the internet that's too ridiculous that I can't not have it, 32 is fine. If it's $320, no thank you. So I think it's a confluence of the stupidness of it, the hype, and the price.
Yeah, I love it. And I think the stunt department at Skims is doing really well with the nipple piercing bras and the merkins. That's great because it still is a real brand otherwise. Like, she just released a big partnership with Nike. Skims was, I think, the official like men's undergarments for the Olympics. So she's doing real stuff too, but they are masters of PR, and I guess she's just got a home run with these merkins.
I gotta say, I didn't even know that her fashion underwear or whatever line was called Skims until today, and now I know.
Brand awareness.
And I won't forget. And we're talking about it. They didn't have to pay for this. This isn't sponsored content.
I know.
Not that they would. I'm just saying everyone's talking about it. And they didn't have to pay a cent. They just had to put out a $32 ridiculous pair of underwear with pubic hair on it.
I know. This family honestly is smart. And I know some people don't like to think that way. And it might frustrate them that I'm even saying this out loud. But I also just listened to the lengthy interview with Kim Kardashian on Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy, like a huge podcast. And this woman knows business. She is smart, and her family is smart. Her sisters, her mom, certainly. So they're no slouches. When you see this merkin, it's a merkin for a reason.
The fact that you're arguing with your friends about whether she's smart means she's part of the conversation, and that is smart.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of like the reality TV keeping down with the Kardashians or whatever, but I'm just saying I know about it.
Yeah.
We're talking about it. How can you say they don't have business acumen? They don't quite have it in the image that I would want it for me.
Yeah.
But they are smart.
Yeah, 100%.
Sure.
And there's worse things to sell than a pubic wig, let's be honest.
Yes, you could sell uranium. You could own an oil company. You could, there are worse things. Arms dealer. That's not a great job. I'm not crazy about that job, arms dealer.
You could run a social media company. I would argue that that's worse.
You could try to host a radio show. There are terrible jobs out there that people shouldn't do. It's that Venn diagram between stupid and smart. It's where you'll find, hopefully, me, this show, and in a way, Kim Kardashian. It's more like ridiculous and smart, but she's in there right in the middle, those two overlapping circles.
Yep.
How do Venn diagrams work? Nobody knows. You had to take someone to discover them. Sir John Venn.
Really?
Yeah. This guy, a crackpot, he was like an alchemist. He tried to make gold out of things. He had all kinds of weird religious ideas, like a hack, basically.
Okay.
But he came up with these two circles, which I'm sure other people came up with before.
Yeah.
Look, when we talk about like general relativity, we don't call it like Einsteinian relativity. Like Einstein didn't put his name on his science.
No.
But this guy John Venn put his name on his great invention, and we still mention his name every day, and he did nothing. He gets all the credit and none of the hard work. If you take those two overlapping circles, the Venn diagram's right in the middle.
But he was knighted for it. Was he knighted as a result of this invention?
90% of what I just said is false. I just kind of filled in the blank with creative. Okay. Was he knighted? I know his name's John. He was knighted.
Yes.
No, maybe? No, he's not knighted.
Dang it.
But he has some like British order.
Okay.
Kayla, this has gone in, I don't even know what direction. Do you want to come back and talk about Taylor Swift and I don't even know, weird foods and stuff like that?
Okay, yeah. Weird food combinations, care of Reddit, and Taylor Swift winning everyone's hearts over yet again.
Oh, I've been seeing people haven't been liking the album, but we'll discuss that with Caitlin Green, co-host of the Jan Arden podcast, up next.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Broadcasting intimate details and useless information from an undisclosed location in New York City. The Last Show with David Cooper.
I have been hearing that Taylor Swift's new album has not made fans that excited, but I am here with Caitlin Green, co-host of the Jan Arden podcast, a media personality, to discuss. I don't know, Caitlin. People on the internet are saying it's time to hate Taylor again. It's time to criticize Taylor again. And the big marker is that if you come out and say you don't like this album, the internet doesn't care. Historically, if you said anything bad about Taylor Swift on social media, like Twitter or whatever, Instagram, TikTok, the anti-haters would come out and stone you to death. Mm-hmm. But now people don't care. It's just like a mid-album.
But that is starting to change already. So I do think that sometimes there's like a negative response to anything that she does because it's very hyped. So because Taylor Swift, everything is so hyped up that when she does release something or do something, there is typically like a period of pushback that happens. This album did get more, I would say. And it's because some of her fans really like her folklore-y, evermore kind of like sad song girl type vibe. And this is very not that. So there was a subsect of her fan base that this didn't click with right away. Mind you, I have been saying that I really didn't like one song on the album, a song called Wood, that I think is kind of dumb. We've talked about this before.
We did.
Because it references Travis Kelce's manhood. And I just didn't think it was her best work lyrically, but I also don't care. Like, I should preface everything about Taylor Swift by saying, I'm really not that invested. I'm a bystander of Taylor Swift culture, but it is changing because I said I didn't like that. We talked about it on the Jan Arden podcast. We posted a clip about it, and everyone came for my neck.
Oh, did they? Okay, so my theory about if you criticize her, the internet won't come from you might be wrong.
You were right initially. Initially, everyone was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this album. It's kind of like fluffy and dumb. And there was this whole maybe she's in a battle with Charlie XCX. And that stuff is still sort of going on. But now the Swifties are pushing back. And so there is a bit of people who are telling me specifically to lighten up about her penis song, which is fine.
The sorry state of like the U.S. healthcare system means that websites like GoFundMe do amazing because like people don't have insurance, they break their neck, they need $50,000 for neck surgery. The friends go on the GoFundMe. Yep. There's been a rumor going around about Taylor Swift. I wonder if her PR team planted it, or maybe I'm too much of a conspiracy theorist. But tell me about this rumor.
So this came out care of one of her friends, an actress by the name of Ruby Rose. And she claimed that Taylor Swift she said that she hits GoFundMe like a social media app, and she scrolls through randomly clicking reach their donation, which means pay off the full remaining amount of that GoFundMe campaign. Like most people hit the like button. She just said there was a period of time where she would just go through and finish off everyone's GoFundMes. And I have heard from Swifties over the years who have said that they have benefited from her doing this. There was a Swiftie, a young student, I think it was a York University student here in Toronto where I live, and obviously where the morning show that I used to work on took place. And we interviewed her, and she said that Taylor Swift did exactly that. Just popped up one day, paid off all of her tuition. So I do think that she does do this, and people are trying to make it seem like because Taylor Swift hasn't come out recently and become very, very anti-Trump, since this round of his presidency has taken hold, people are like, oh, she's secretly MAGA. She's pushing like trad wife imagery with her album because she's just basically happy and in a relationship. But no, her friend Ruby Rose says, no, she's not like that. And she's actually very generous and frequently goes through and pays everyone's debts. So
I love this. It somehow reminds me of like other weird celebrity interactions that a lot of people have but aren't publicized. Bill Murray apparently acts really strange in public. And he was in your hometown of Toronto for the film festival, and my friend was hanging out near where all that action happens and everything's screened. Anyway, he's standing on the street, my friend, and somebody comes up behind him and puts his hands over my friend's eyes, like covers his face, okay? Mm-hmm. So my friend turns around and looks at this individual who just tried to like cover his face, and it was Bill Murray, and Bill Murray just whispers to him, "No one will ever believe you," and walks away. Yeah. And these little moments that you have with celebrities that will never get publicized. Taylor Swift, you got to GoFundMe. She pays it off. Bill Murray, he's weird with you in public. I don't know.
I think that story also about Bill Murray, because he's known for being quite like zany and whimsical, and he does do things like that. He's kind of famous for it. And there was a recent interview with the New York Times. They have a segment that gets released, I think once a week, called The Interview. And he sat down with the interviewer and they talked about just that. And he did cop to a lot of these behaviors where he would show up at colleges and universities like parties. He would go to a frat party in the US and he would just show up. And I feel like that's kind of like, I mean, wouldn't that be the best part of being famous? I would love to do stuff like that if I was famous.
I feel like with cell phones now, the magic of it's a little lost. Like if this was the 90s and you're Bill Murray, you could be a legend and it could be secret. But now someone's just going to put it on social media and you'd immediately be known for it publicly.
You're right. He did say that. He did actually say that exact same thing, that had taken out some of the fun for him.
Yeah, I guess he has to go to like no phone areas. Let's talk weird food combos. I love Reddit. There's a Reddit called Ask Reddit, which I'm sure you know about, but people just like ask the weirdest questions, and people from the internet come out of the woodwork and give the strangest answers. It's probably all bots now, but that's a conversation for another time. This question, what is the best, perhaps weirdest, food and drink combination caught your eye?
Yeah, it caught my eye because it named so many things that I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even know how much I love this. Now, some of them were obvious, like pizza and beer, or beer and wings, wine and cheese. But one that I thought of, this was the first one that came to mind for me, and I want to know your thoughts on this, and I think might be my number one, is a PB&J and milk.
What? I'm a Jew. We don't drink milk. We're not like a milk people. I remember as a kid, I think I saw a friend having a glass of milk. His mom offered me milk, so I came home and I poured myself a glass of milk, and my mother's like, "What are you doing? You have a glass of milk? That's wild." Yeah, I don't know what it is, but milk is always so weird. I cook with it. I put it in my coffee. Mm-hmm. You know, I eat it with cereal. I'm not against milk, but the idea of a glass of milk, no thank you.
I like it with a dessert, with something sweet, so like cookies and milk. So chocolate chip cookies and milk, and PB&J is kind of dessert adjacent in terms of the sandwich world, so it clicks for me.
I do butter, like I melt butter on toast, salted butter, and then I put sugar and cinnamon on it, and I have sugar, cinnamon, and butter toast, and that's really good.
That's the best. That was one of my favorite things to have that my mom would make for me as a treat when I was homesick. And we had a special shaker that was a mix of cinnamon and sugar together. And so you butter the toast, and then you use for me, the sick day shaker. And then I would sit in front of the TV and watch Price is Right.
What about eggs and maple syrup, like scrambled eggs and maple syrup? You ever done that one?
No.
It's not terrible.
I'm a Dijon mustard and eggs girl. And I've had a lot of friends and people at restaurants here in Toronto look at me sideways. But it's delicious. And it started because I was going out for breakfast every day to this famous like egg restaurant when I was in Paris. And I noticed that they had Dijon mustard on the table at this breakfast restaurant. And every single person there was pairing their omelet or their soft scramble with Dijon mustard. So I was like, well, I'm in Paris. I might as well try it. Delicious. Can't recommend it highly enough.
I don't want it, but I see why it works. Like I'm not offended by it. My girlfriend, maybe she claims it's a California thing. That's where she's from. She puts ranch on everything, like French fries, home fries, pizza crusts. She's just like, it's like her like I use ketchup for most of that stuff, not pizza crust, but for fries, potatoes. Yeah. Her go-to is ranch, and I just find it so odd, but it's not terrible.
It's not terrible, and it feels like when you go, to Europe or something and they pair mayonnaise with French fries, it's sort of that, but with a little bit of added flavor.
Yeah. I like mayo and fries. I put ketchup on everything. When I put ketchup on my eggs, my girlfriend's like horrified. She's never seen that. I don't know. My dad claims ketchup on eggs is a deeply Canadian thing, but I've never heard anyone validate that claim other than my dad.
I think a deeply Canadian thing is also ketchup with macaroni and cheese. So Kraft Dinner, but also mac and cheese. It's a thing that I think is fairly exclusive to Canada because if you do it, which I sometimes will, when I'm with friends who are not Canadian, they look at you like you have a third high. Like they're just like, what is happening?
It reminds me when my grandma would make, spaghetti noodles with ketchup as tomato sauce, and I could not. Yeah, when she was babysitting for us, and I could not deal. May she rest in peace. Yes, I love her, and I always will. And she was a great grandmother, but I may not ever forgive her for that. That was
my heart. That's terrible, but I mean. Bless a sweet grandmother. Okay, do you have any weird food combinations? Because these were like great food and drink combinations, like red wine and steak, cheeseburger and a milkshake, coffee and donuts. But do you have weird ones that you like?
In the 5 seconds we have left, I once paired chocolate milk and shrimp at a family event. And
my God.
I was 7 years old, and I still haven't lived it down. What's your weird combo before we let you go?
I thought it was eggs and mustard, and now I've been shamed by shrimp and milk, so no thank you.
Chocolate milk. I don't drink milk, but chocolate milk is fine. I was 7 years old. Come on. Our incoming interstellar visitor, this Comet 3I Atlas. Well, what if it really is aliens? We'll ask that question on the other side of the break.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. For those who know that questioning everything includes questioning this show's existence. The Last Show with David Cooper.
An interstellar visitor has appeared. A comet from outside our solar system called 3I Atlas will be making a flyby. It'll be pretty close to the Earth towards the end of the month. We've been talking about it a lot on the show. Last night, an astrophysicist joined us to proudly declare that it's probably not aliens. And we are joined by Noah Cappe for Noah versus the Unknown, who is about to proudly proclaim we are visited by aliens. What is true? We're about to find out. Noah, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. I feel like every week when we chat, my friend, you always say, where's the evidence? Where's the tangible, real evidence? Where's the photos? Where's the science? This is it. We're going to break this thing down. And whoever you had on the other day, thanks for being the opening act, because it's now time to get to the main show, which is the fact that there's probably some type of intelligently controlled alien interacted mothership. I don't know what this thing is, but it ain't a rock.
All right, who are we going to believe? A astrophysicist with a PhD in astronomy or whatever who spent years teaching and learning about this stuff? Or someone who got his credentials from a Cracker Jack box? And yes, that was a joke borrowed from my baby boomer dad. I'm kidding. I won't be what's called, I think, a credentialist. I think anybody can know things. I think anyone can read a paper. I'm going to believe you at your word, and I'm not going to try anymore to discredit you, Noah, and I feel bad about already doing it.
Look, I am the first person to acknowledge that mainstream science is always going to have the unbelievable pressure and weight of needing their grants, needing support, needing their colleagues. They have to, nobody's going to step out of a lane and say this thing is this thing is that, unless they literally land on the ground and say that. There's a handful of people who are willing to push the boundaries and are willing to put their careers, their reputations on the line. And I think that those people, look, the Avi Loebs, which are always the reference when it comes to these types of interstellar objects. He's a professor at Harvard, and I think that title makes everybody go, oh, it's like legit. He's like a Harvard guy, whatever. But there's a lot of people who are just like, he's bananas. the fact is that we're having this conversation and that there are educated, respected people who are out there saying this thing is weird.
And there are, but we've only had 3 instances of interstellar comets and objects entering our solar system. So we actually don't have a standard for what's weird and what's normal. We don't have a big enough sample set. However, I will concede, like you say, and like experts say, this interstellar visitor is weird. It's got a weird chemical composition. Comets usually have a tail pointing away from the sun or whatever. This one's pointing in the wrong direction. It's odd. I agree it's odd. It's exciting. It's weird. It's new.
This thing is odd. And look, yes, it's only the 3rd interstellar object, which obviously is the name. 3I is the 3rd interstellar. We had, I think, Borisov and Oumuamua. I'm probably pronounced both of those wrong. But again, this is new in that sense. But if you file this under a comet category, then that is a topic and something that we have way more interaction with and way more of a database full of evidence and information. And when you line those things up, this thing just screams all kinds of anomalies. Let's get into it. Look, sure. You've talked about this. This thing was not discovered that long ago. The Atlas system, which is I don't know the
telescope of some sort.
So yeah, basically an impact last alert system. They discover this thing. Now, what already out of the gate when they notice it, it's like everything already is screaming anomalies. Its speed is, we're talking twice as fast as the average comet speed. Instead of 40, 50,000 kilometers an hour or 25, 30,000 miles per hour, it's double that.
You're making the mistake of comparing this to comets that are gravitationally bound by the sun. They're a different class of objects. So you can't say, oh, it's weird and because these comets are different. Those comets are a different class of objects. So they're not the same thing, Noah.
100%, but we do have 2 other examples of the same thing, and this thing shatters those. So if we have a small database, a small little set of evidence of 3 examples, this one is so far away from the other 2, not just in speed, in its size, all of it.
You and I are going to argue about whether we have a big enough data set or not, and I don't think we're going to agree, and it's not really an interesting argument. Why don't we just get to why you're so excited about it and why you're so excited about these weird things that are going on with the comet? Because I think that's a better conversation because I'm excited about the same things you are.
Sure. I'm a person who I think, there's always that thing of saying, oh, well, statistical anomalies, like statistically it's going to happen eventually. When it comes to space and it comes to interstellar related conversations, the size, I always try to say this, is something that no human mind can understand. When you start talking about the vastness of what's out there, nobody has the ability to understand the size of what we're talking about. So to me, right out of the gate, 1977, the wow signal. This is like an unbelievable moment in are we alone? Technology and evidence. A signal is detected by SETI, and it's basically this very specific radio-style frequency that they circle, and the person who sees it writes "wow" with an exclamation mark, and this signal becomes this like beacon. It's clearly something that isn't natural. There's a pattern to it. There's like almost like a coded message. 3I Atlas comes from almost exactly this area of Sagittarius that is full of ancient and all kinds of references and things or whatever to Sagittarius and its connection to our story as people, as the history of the universe and all of it. The wow signal and 3I Atlas come from almost the same place. The statistics on that possibility are so ridiculously small. It's pretty wild. So that is a super cool part of it. This thing is coming from this area. And from an alignment standpoint, it's hard to tell because you're talking about this thing might have been out there for hundreds of millions of years. I mean, this thing could have been ripping through space for such an amount of time, but that they're saying that when the signal came, it was entering our solar system. It's very odd timing. So the wow signal is the first one that kind of sets off the trajectory of as this thing enters, where's this thing coming from? This is unusual.
That is, I actually didn't know that the wow signal and 3I Atlas came from roughly the same place. That is very cool. To me, I still chalk it up as a coincidence, but please keep going.
Well, look, obviously we're going to talk about the nickel iron, and I'm sure that whoever you had on talked about this, because this is again something where typically comets, and I know we're talking about comets as opposed to these interstellar objects, but typically anything that falls into this type of category, nickel and iron are together. It's salt and pepper. It's peanut butter and jam. You can't have one without the other. You know what I mean? This is like they just go together. We don't have examples of them not. Now we do. 3I Atlas is it's like a refined metal. It's like this thing, when they get the readings on it, is not something that we seem to think is natural.
We don't know what happens in interstellar space and what kind of dust clouds this object went through. And so maybe there's some chemical process through it going through an unknown dust cloud 100 million years ago, many, many light years away, that caused its composition to change. There are plausible explanations here. However, I will concede that it is unusual. The chemical makeup is strange. It's not like anything we've seen.
It's very strange, and it's strange when you start to get into the science of what these metals are, and that if you connect it to the closest metal on Earth, it's, guess what? The stuff we use on our space shuttles, the stuff that we use on our satellites, things that can handle heat, that can take the pressure and all of it. So now you've got this massive object, bigger. It's faster. It's coming from this really unique part of the universe. It's got a composition that is screaming refined metal or some type of manufactured something. It's not a kind of natural as to what we know. Then you get into the front-facing light, which to me,
that's what we're going to talk about after the break. I'm here with Noah Cappe. It's Noah versus the unknown. Noah is trying to convince us he's not doing the worst job. That interstellar object 3I Atlas that will be passing close to us at the end of the month is of alien origin. We'll be back with more Noah Cappe and whatever this show is in a moment.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Exploring both interstellar and interpersonal space-time continuums. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Don't judge an interstellar object by its tail is what my mother used to never say. We are discussing 3I Atlas, an interstellar visitor, an object that is visiting us from outside our solar system. There have only been 3 discovered to date, and this object is unusual. And well-known people are making the claim that it's an alien spacecraft. I'm here with Noah Cappe. It is Noah versus the unknown, and we are having a spirited debate. Is this just a strange object from outside our solar system, or is it in fact evidence of intelligence in the universe, the first of its kind? I'm not even sure we found intelligent life here on Earth, but that is a debate for another time. Noah, welcome to the show. How's that for an introduction?
That's it, man. We're deep in it, and it's hard to believe that I think we've got some of the strongest evidence to still discuss coming up.
Yeah, this thing's got a weird tail, I gotta say. My co-host, Tony Five, who you've never met, but he's on the show every day, always says, if we haven't discovered intelligent life here on Earth, why do you think there's intelligent life out there in the cosmos? And to be honest, I think it's a great argument.
Your gut, it sometimes just tells you something, and like this thing just doesn't feel right to me.
All right, I'll stop talking about how humanity is stupid. Let's start talking about this comet's tail, because it's pointing in the wrong direction, and that is strange.
It is super strange. I mean, obviously everybody can, even if you don't understand science, you can kind of understand what's happening when you've got something that's made of metal and stone and interstellar, dust or whatever, pounding, blasting through the universe at such a speed. It's going to heat up. It's going to be pressurized, and all of the debris and all of the metals and all of the things that are activated are going to create a tail. And when you pass by things like the sun, due to gravity and the gravitational pull, the tail often will spin a little bit more to the side. So you've got this thing zipping along, but as it's getting closer towards the sun, the tail kind of rotates because the gravity of the sun is now pulling, kind of rotating the tail whatever. This is, as we would expect with Three-Eye Atlas, just doing the opposite. It's passing by the sun. It's not changing the direction of its tail. It's got a front-facing light. And this isn't like... imagine, instead of imagining a snowball blasting through space, imagine a flashlight. This thing is pounding light out of the front of it. It is a persistent front-facing glow that doesn't shift and also is tied into this additional anomaly with this thing, which is this odd electromagnetic kind of bright. There's a pulse. There is a brightness and a pulse that is happening with this thing on prime number intervals, like 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours. There's a mathematical sequence to this thing. They're finding it's going brighter on almost a like clockwork type of schedule. These things are just make you feel like there is some kind of greater control here. There's something at work.
Well, we've all seen, well, maybe we haven't all, but I've seen sci-fi movies where spaceships, to slow down, they turn around and they exhaust and they do propulsion in the wrong direction to get a gravitational deceleration, whatever. I'm just using fancy words here. Is that what you think is happening? Do you think this thing is slowing down? Side note, one curious thing is Three-Eye Atlas is too close to the sun right now to observe. And so we're going to get a good look. Even though it's close to us, our telescopes can't see it. So like in, I think, late November, December, we're going to get another great look at it when it's far enough away from the sun. Will it be completely different? Will it have slowed down? Will it even appear on the other side of the sun at all? What do you think is going on?
I mean, okay, so you get into this tough thing where you go, okay, you can't sit here and say it's aliens on a ship because they wouldn't be flying through space at 60,000 kilometers an hour. If you had the technology, if you were an advanced being, whatever, then you're moving through space in a different way. Nobody is like going on a family road trip where it's like, it's going to take 8 days to get to Earth. It's going to take 100 million years to drive to Earth. I think the thing or the thought is that this is some type of surveillance, intelligently controlled, some type of object that may not necessarily be full of a bunch of little green men zipping around, but that is monitoring or up to something. The trajectory on this is before we get into the photo evidence, which is, I think, the last piece we should talk about. The trajectory of this thing is part of the big anomaly and the question here. The trajectory on this is so weird. A typical comet or anything that we've kind of experienced like this before moves in a very wacky, wild kind of route. It's getting pulled, it's getting pushed, it's getting redirected, it's interacting with gravitational pull, whatever. This thing is on a course. It's following a course. It's not variating from its path. It's passing through. If you had to put the perfect path through our solar system to monitor every planet at the exact time, this thing is it. It's passing Mars at its exact moment. It's it's just, the trajectory is as weird as the rest of this thing.
Could it be a probe? Like, in Star Trek where they send a probe to check what's going on?
That to me is, if this is not natural, then I'm going to go with that this is some type of intelligently controlled probe, surveillance, data collection, lost relic that's blasting along empty and still powered. I don't know. But the trajectory on this thing, it's like somebody took a ruler out and drew a line right through the middle of everything and said, oh, forget all we know about science. This thing's going to stay the course.
But why wouldn't aliens want to visit Earth? Like, it's not coming that close to Earth. It's coming way closer to like Jupiter and other planets. If they were coming to check us out for life, wouldn't they come closer to Earth?
Well, look, they're here. We're being checked out every day. We've been being checked out every day forever.
I've been letting you go on these long rants without attacking some of your claims. And the problem is when you make a claim that I don't agree with and then you just jump to the next one, it's kind of hard to have a discussion.
Well, look, Dave, we spent the last 15 weeks of me slowly, week by week, telling and showing you that we are not alone, especially on this planet. I don't think this is the first big arrival of a little gray alien. I do think this is some type of unnatural object that has some type of control to it that we don't understand.
Here's all I'll say. I don't think there's enough evidence to believe that. I think there are some cool and anomalous things about this. And because I like you and because I want to present this other side, I'm letting you go through a long list of claims like somehow its orbit or its trajectory is eerie or strange. I don't agree with that. There are comets that have eccentric tails. It's not the first one. It's just unusual. There's a lot of things here that I don't necessarily agree with, but I think we can agree that it's exciting. It's cool. And it's the third object like this that we've got to study. And isn't it amazing that it's huge? It's got a weird composition. Its tail is strange. Like, this is all exciting stuff.
Before we get into the cherry on this Sunday, just to wrap this thing up and blow your head right off your shoulders, in regards to the trajectory, I mean, you're seeing gradual slow deceleration, gradual acceleration this thing is not moving like a runaway, snowball down a mountain. This thing is flying by Mars. We have more cameras, more rovers, more satellites, more freaking things that could document this than ever before. And what happens? The day after it passes, everybody's waiting for NASA to post all the photos. Go to the website. The NASA site has been shut down. We're not funded. We won't be posting whatever, China. Nothing. Radio silence. All of a sudden, not sharing anything. Name a country. This thing has gone dark, except for, I believe it was the European, I want to say the European Space Union or something. They take a photo, a video, and they post it online. The only people to share this thing since it's past Mars. The video, David, is mind-boggling. I understand you're looking at pixels, but this object is like changing in geometrical shapes. It's wild.
Noah, we're at time. I love you. That is food for thought. Noah Cappe, it's Noah versus the unknown. Noah, thanks for being here.
See you on the other side, buddy.
Today is International Boss Day. How did you celebrate? We'll list the top ridiculous and horrible bosses and also just things named the boss, like, I don't know, Bruce Springsteen, to celebrate up next.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Day is done. We're just getting started. The last show with David Cooper.
Today is International Bosses Day, and we are going to talk a list of worst bosses, best bosses, things named boss, here with Matthew Alston, a freelance reporter who writes for GQ. He writes for Business Insider, but he might be best known for writing emails to his mother. Matt, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Mom, the original boss, I think. Some would say Dad, but at least where I grew up in my home, Mom is the original boss.
I grew up in a traditional baby boomer parent household where the dad thinks he's in charge until my mom puts her foot down and she's the real one in charge. So Mom is the original boss. She's the first one who can tell you what to do in your life.
Yeah, depending on, in my family at least, one of the only good bosses I've ever had.
So number one is your mom, the proverbial your, the listener your.
That's good boss. Number one, good boss, depending.
Number two is your boss, you listener. How is your boss right now? I feel like no matter who you talk to, you can just say, does your boss suck? And the odds are they'll say yes.
Yeah, famous line from Anna Karenina, all happy families are the same. All unhappy families are different. And every boss is uniquely different, but uniquely bad. You can ask someone about an old job and you can see the light either go out or come behind their eyes as they remember an anecdote of that truly defines how their boss was bad in a way no other boss could ever have been bad. I'm curious, David, about any of your past bosses.
Well, the boss I would have told you was my worst boss up until a few years ago was the one who conspired to have me removed from the job and met with my coworkers and other team leads to try to get me pulled off of a project. Which I thought was really mean at the time. But in hindsight, you know what? I wasn't doing great leading this project, and they didn't fire me. They just kind of benched me and put me on a worse project, I guess waiting for me to quit. And I only had a work visa at the time. Had they have fired me, I would have had to leave the U.S. I actually think what he did to me was kind of kind, but it just felt really mean. Knowing a boss is conspiring to get you removed from a project, I know there's worse bosses than that, but for me, that was the worst experience I'd ever had.
The boss that fires you, whomever you are, it is typically a bad boss, I would say.
Yeah.
And then, weeks pass and you realize that by relieving you of your association with them, their last act might have made them a good boss for once.
Yeah. I got removed from the show that I was on got shut down on my last radio job, but they let me say goodbye. They gave me 2 weeks notice. The boss was really supportive. He's a great reference. I feel like, I've been lucky. I mean, even when I've been gotten rid of or laid off or fired, it's still been not so bad.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3, bad boss, the WWE or WWF's old wrestler, Big Boss Man. A boss that beats you up with a billy club is a bad boss. End of discussion.
Full stop.
Yeah. Handcuffs, bad boss. Goatee and mustache, probably bad boss. Yeah. Big Boss Man, bad boss. Number 4, Boss Tweet. New York City politician, the original racketeer. Defeated by political cartoons, so maybe less imposing than in history than we imagine. But
for regulatory purposes, I think we just hit our educational quota, so the show can stay on the air.
Very bad boss. I won't do any more learning or dispensing of real information right now, David. Though I promise.
May I insert number 5?
Yes.
I know it was on your list, but can we talk about the boss, Bruce Springsteen?
Oh, good boss. Your mileage may vary, but I find his 3 to 4 hour all hands presentations quite inspiring. I've been to 4 or 5 of them. I will follow that boss. That the famous line is the only boss I listen to.
I have a bit of a curmudgeonly, subversive, if it's mainstream, I don't like it kind of attitude, I take that attitude towards Taylor Swift, but I don't towards Bruce Springsteen, even though he has mass appeal. I love Bruce Springsteen, and I'm not scared to admit it, even though some people would say, pick a better band, pick a more interesting, more unique, more indie thing to love. I love me some Boss, I gotta say.
Yeah. And I'll say, we'll keep this, we'll categorize this one too as non-educational. I would call The Boss a fictional creation.
Yeah, the real guy is a bit more social commentary than The Boss.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, what's number 6?
Number 6, we got a bad boss turned good boss. This one's for my daughter, Gru from the Minions movies. A reformed boss, grew up wanting to be a bad guy, has a legion of employees who have basically a flat hierarchy, and he kind of just lets them do what they want. That's a good boss,
I mean, I didn't watch Minions, but it sounds kind of like Santa.
Yeah. It's like Santa if every elf had a flamethrower and was allowed to do whatever they wanted.
But there's not really good transit to and from the North Pole, so the elves are kind of trapped there. And if they want food, shelter, warmth, they kind of have to work there.
No, Santa's running a weird operation. If you really kind of think about, I think Gru lets the minions kind of do what they want. How much of my phone am I looking at during my daughter's endless viewings of those movies? Maybe I'll lock in during one of them in the future and come back to you and let you know.
All right. Well, it's International Bosses Day. We're going through the list of worst, best, and things named boss. Kind of a confusing list to celebrate here with Matt Alston. What is number 7?
Number 7 is Miranda Priestley. I love The Devil Wears Prada. And I don't like Miranda Priestley. I'm not afraid to say it. I think she's a bad boss. I think that's kind of the point of the movie.
That is a hot take. Devil Wears Prada 2. I saw them filming it here in downtown New York. It's coming eventually. My girlfriend's excited about it.
Paparazzi photos of some good-looking outfits. Emily Blunt. Yeah, we're into it. I think we're excited about that one.
All right, let's keep going.
Good boss, Rick Ross. Very motivational, more motivational than Bruce Springsteen, I would add. If you want Rick Ross, the boss, to pump you up, he is ready to do it. And then hands off otherwise, I think. Good boss.
Say less.
Yeah. Can't tell. Another situation where I've been present while the movie was being shown. Have no idea if a good boss or bad boss. Boss Baby. I do not know.
Boss Baby. I don't even know what that.
Baby. The Boss Baby is an animated movie where the baby is a boss. That's it. He wears a suit and he talks like a boss. It's Alec Baldwin. Think he's probably a bad boss.
Okay, boss baby. I'm up to date with these pop culture references. I'm liking this list.
You can miss this one. You can miss Boss Baby. Are we on 9?
10, actually.
Are we on 10? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some honorable mentions before we wrap up the list. Al Capone, John Gotti, Tony Soprano, the fictional versions of the real mob bosses, vertically integrated. Again, they let you be your own boss, but a little violent, a little, yeah.
How about that last episode of The Sopranos? Do you remember watching? Are you old enough to have seen that on like real TV when it aired, when it just went black?
I was live with it.
I was live with it too. I'm like, is my TV set broken? What's going on over here?
I was an annoying snob who was like, I get it.
Oh, God.
It's art. And I didn't get it, but I was, so.
I'm that person when I see sci-fi movies with my friends who like don't know all the time travel tropes and faster than light tropes and all that stuff. And they're like, oh, that's what I remember walking out of the movie Arrival with my 70-year-old friend explaining how aliens worked. I'm that, but with sci-fi. So I feel you.
Another honorable mention, we'll just sort of one word it, Hugo Boss. We're going to skip the history portion of that. Not a great boss, not a great history. And then number 10, Bowser, the original boss from Mario. Very good at training his employees. If you go in each castle and you fight one of Bowser's little boss minions, they've learned from him. He's a good leader, although always has at least one or two fatal weaknesses and a little predictable. Sometimes a boss being predictable is good, sometimes not.
You don't get the great, lovely adventures of Mario without Bowser. The two are infinitely interlinked. You can't take the good without the bad. So Bowser, I agree, is a good boss.
Your boss, you should give them a card. You should thank them. You should rub their feet. You should tell them how grateful you are for your job serving them. It's International Bosses Day. What else would you do?
It is. Mazel, as they probably don't say. Matthew Alston is a freelance reporter. He writes for GQ, for Business Insider. And don't forget those emails to his mother. Matt, thanks for going through International Bosses Day with me and our confusing but fun list.
Thanks.
That's our show. Don't forget the last show's available as a podcast. Head to www.lastshow.pizza. That's lastshow.pizza, not .com, for details and how to subscribe. And I'm David Cooper. Seriously, subscribe to our podcast. This was The Last Show. Thank you for tuning in.